Hello, I'm John Bachman. Right now, scientists are attempting something that's never been done before, and it's happening 317 million miles over our heads. The European Space Agency is trying to drop a lander on a comet, and while most of us were sleeping before the sun came up, that lander was given its final push.
Separation happened, probably the most important moment together with the touchdown of the day.
Well, he's clearly excited about this. There have been some issues, though. The thrusters designed to fire as the lander touches down may have malfunctioned, so the landing could be a rough one. That should happen in about an hour and a half. The 10-year-long mission is aimed at learning more about the birth of the solar system. We'll keep you posted on what happens. Meantime, on the other side of this planet, President Obama has wrapped up his trip to China with a new deal aimed at cutting air pollution.
The United States has set a new goal of reducing our net greenhouse gas emissions by 26 to 28% below 2005 levels by the year 2025.
And that's coupled with a promise from Chinese President Xi Jinping to cap China's emissions. That is something the Chinese have always been reluctant to do. President Obama also is expected to announce several new executive orders, also aimed at cutting carbon emissions. One issue on which the United States and China could not find much common ground was Hong Kong. We've shown you those pro-democracy protests that have been going on for weeks. Some in China are accusing the U.S. of promoting the unrest.
I was unequivocal in saying to President Xi that the United States had no involvement in fostering the protests that took place there.
But the president added that the U.S. does back the right of anyone, anywhere, to express themselves. The president has now left China and is continuing his 8-day trip around the Pacific. Next stop, Myanmar, a.k.a. Burma, for another summit. And another Election Day win for the GOP more than a week later now. Republican Dan Sullivan has finally won the Senate race in Alaska, beating incumbent Mark Begich, the Democrat. That race was too close to call back on election night, with Sullivan up by about 8,000 votes. But after officials started counting absentee ballots, it was clear that Sullivan did in fact win. And 5 of the world's biggest banks are going to pay some big fines. Regulators in the United States, Britain, and Switzerland have fined the firms a total of $3.3 billion for trying to manipulate foreign exchange markets.
The traders put their own interests ahead of their customers. They manipulated the market, or attempted to manipulate the market.
Well, those banks include Citi, JP Morgan Chase, Royal Bank of Scotland, HSBC, and UBS. Regulators could still also hit Barclays with fines, too. And that slow crawl of lava, we've been telling you about this for weeks now, continues to push through a town on Hawaii's Big Island. It's now creeping across a road in the town of Pahoa after punching through and burning the first home there. People living in there by the area have plans to move while their old houses was burning. That foundation was being poured on a new home about 10 miles away. We'll have another update coming up for you in 30 minutes. Now back to America's Forum.